So moving out for the very first time is a big step in every adult's life, and it is something that must be very well planned for and executed. In today's Finance Friday episode, I'm sharing with you 5 things that will help you get started financially. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Suzanne Wanji. So the first thing that you definitely need is a stable and reliable income, because you're ideally moving or transitioning from someone who did not have monthly bills to pay, or they were not necessarily mandatory, to now having mandatory bills to pay every single month. So you want to ensure that you have a stable source of income. In case you're new to your job, because I see most people wanting to move out the moment they get their first job or their first paycheck, you probably want to wait until you get confirmed, just so that you know it's a sure thing. If, for instance, you're self-employed or you're in business, a good way to know if your source of income is stable and or reliable is to probably observe the income that you have made maybe the past 6 months, and kind of like get an average of that. However much money you're getting throughout these 6 months should be able to help you make the decision whether you are ready and capable to be paying your own bills on a monthly basis from your income. The second thing that you need before you move out is you need to build adequate savings. And ideally, you need savings for 3 things. The first thing that you need to save up for is the initial deposit, service charge, and at least 1 month's rent. And I like to advise people, especially if this is the very first time that you're moving out, it is prudent and good to give yourself a head start. So if you can, you would try to probably save up for deposit and at least 3 months rent, 2 to 3 months rent, because that will help you to ideally just get used to the situation without necessarily having to worry about paying rent for your new house. The second thing that you need to build up savings for is the actual moving out cost. So you probably need to pay the movers that are going to be facilitating the move, and most importantly, the items that you need to get for your house. Now, there's a whole budget that goes into that, because you're looking what are your bare minimum requirements to getting into a house. For some people, it is a bed and a working kitchen. For others, they want the full package. If you want the full package, you definitely want to come up with an actual budget. So sit down with your Excel sheet and indicate the prices of everything that you need. I advise people to actually go to the supermarkets or the stalls or shops that you're looking to purchase your stuff from, and get the actual figures that you need, so that you can have a very accurate projection as to how much you will need to furnish your house. So there are some bare minimum things like curtains, quite expensive. If you love the good quality curtains, they're quite expensive. But a tip that I love to give people, especially if you want to keep your moving out costs on the bare minimum, consider these 2 things. The first thing is you can buy secondhand. You don't necessarily have to buy new stuff from Furniture Palace, or whichever big places people like to buy their home decor or items from. If you're just starting out and you just need the bare minimum, consider getting secondhand. There's a lot of good Instagram shops and just online shops and even physical shops that you can get affordable secondhand and durable stuff to just get yourself started on your journey to now living alone. The second thing, and this works all the time, consider getting some items from your family members or hand-me-downs from relatives and friends, and that will most definitely, that old couch that your cousin or auntie or best friend doesn't use anymore, or the old fridge, and even a bed, that will really bring down your moving out cost. So consider either getting second-hand items or hand-me-downs and things you've borrowed from family. That will really help you to keep your budget low. Also, don't move out without knowing exactly how much you will need to get the bare minimum that you need for the house. So again, remember to actually itemize these things, to list and to indicate exactly how much they cost, so that you can have a clearer picture, and this will let you know whether you can actually afford to move out now or you need to wait maybe a few more months. Another thing that you need to build up savings for, the third thing, is you need to build an emergency fund. Now, most financial consultants recommend an emergency fund between 6 to 12 months. But I mean, for some people, they would feel like it's gonna take forever before I build a 6 months or a 12 months emergency fund. Start with 3 months. Something that is doable. Now, why is an emergency fund very important before you move out? Listen, you're going to have bills to pay now. You're going to have people that are demanding things from you on a monthly basis. And sometimes it's not always possible to talk them out or to kind of like make them wait for another 2 or 3 months before you figure out whatever is happening. Now, just because you've moved out doesn't mean that all of a sudden now you have job security or your business's income is always going to just give you that amount that you discovered your business can give you. Emergencies do happen. People lose jobs. Businesses sometimes do not give you as much as you expected to make. Sometimes you're going to fall sick. So unless you want to be in a situation where you moved out and then now you have to move back home because an emergency just hit you, it is good to foresee some of these things and to prepare adequately for them. So if you can, just be patient, stay home, build up an emergency fund of at least 2 to 3 months, so that even if something goes wrong, you would have money that could last you for at least 3 months as you try figure out your income situation. The third thing that you need to do before you move out is to make an estimate budget, your monthly budget after you move out. You're definitely going to be having things such as rent, food and shopping, transport to and from work, utilities, and leisure wants, leisure giving, and all that. So you want to sit on your laptop or get your notebook out and do a monthly budget that will ensure that you've first of all catered for all the mandatory bills and expenses, and you will obviously need miscellaneous funds for other things, because there's definitely more to life than just paying your monthly mandatory bills and expenses. Now, some of the tips that I'm going to give you here will really help you when it comes to coming up with this budget. The first thing is your rent should not exceed more than 25 to a maximum of 30% of your total income. So if you're earning 100,000, ensure that your rent is, on the maximum is 30,000 Kenyan shillings. If you earn 100,000 and you're living in a house that is 40,000, you are living above your means, because where else are you going to get money to cater for all these other things, because rent is not your only expense going forward. So to be safe, ensure that your rent is not exceeding 25% of your income. Now, when you're trying to also calculate your mandatory bills and expenses, one of the things that I tell people is that a budget is not a list of bills and expenses. A good budget must include these three things. A good budget must have mandatory bills and expenses. That's obvious. That is what most of us have. The second thing that your budget must have is wants, giving, and leisure. You're still gonna be going out to probably have coffee or whatever it is that you do for fun. You are still going to be giving for birthdays, maybe bereavement contributions and things like those. And you're also still probably going to need miscellaneous spending for unforeseen circumstances that come every other month. And then the third thing that you need to have on your budget, or you need to allocate for in your budget, is savings, investments, and debt repayments if you have any. Now, taking all that into consideration, your ideal budget should ideally look like this: 50, 30, 20. This is a budgeting rule of thumb. So 50% of your income should ideally be able to cater for your mandatory bills and expenses. And then you have 30% going towards savings, investments, and debt repayments. And then 20% going to wants, giving, and miscellaneous spending. That way, you're going to have allocated your money holistically, so that you're not just an adult who's moved out, but you're also an adult who has moved out, is in control of their money, and their money is actually working hard for them. The fourth thing that you need to do is to ensure that your debt is under control and that you have some money going into savings every month without fail. Just because you have moved out doesn't mean that all your money now should be going towards paying bills and nothing but bills, because now life becomes realer. You have real obligations, you have real responsibilities, and we also don't want to get into that vicious cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. So to ensure that you have your debt under control and that you have some money going into savings, ensure that as much as it depends on you, you live below your means. All right, we've already talked about the 50-30-20 budgeting rule. The point of adhering or following this rule of thumb is to ensure that you're servicing your debt if you have any, and that you have money going into savings and investments on a monthly basis. As long as you do that, you're going to be setting yourself up to actually start a journey towards financial freedom and to miss the whole mess of actually, you know, being the many adults in Kenya that we have who are living paycheck to paycheck, because for a reason or the other we had not actually estimated how much it would be costing us to now be in our own place and in our own house paying our own bills. In case you're not so sure about how much it would cost you, so that you can say, okay, do I still have money to pay this debt off? Do I still have money to save every month? You want to research about the area that you're planning to move into or to move to. Find out, how's electricity being charged there? How much is water, garbage collection, transport to and from work, and things like those. So it's not like you're not going to be very far off as long as you research and get the estimates, so that you can actually be very aware of exactly how much it would cost you on a monthly basis. How much does it cost you to just merely survive on a monthly basis? So if you earn 50,000 and it would cost you 45,000 to literally just do the bare minimum, you're probably not ready to move out, because what will happen to maybe debts that you need to keep paying? If you have help, you need to keep paying that. If you have SACCO loans, mobile loans, you need to keep paying that. And more importantly, you need to start saving up towards your emergency fund. You need to start building some investments and all that. So be very open-minded and realistic with yourself about how much it will exactly cost you to barely on the minimum just to survive, right? And so if you find that everything that you earn is going towards mandatory bills and expenses, and you don't have money to keep paying your debt and to keep to be putting some money towards saving and investing, you want to consider again maybe waiting a little bit longer, or most importantly, maybe even thinking of ways you can increase your income or your sources of income, so that you can actually afford to live by yourself and or to move out. The last thing that you need to do is to be very realistic with yourself. After you've done the analysis of everything I've highlighted in my previous points, and for one reason or the other, the numbers do not add up, consider these two things. You can either consider to stay home a bit longer. Don't get pressure to actually move out, because if it's of no use if you cannot afford it in the long run. Okay, so consider staying home a little bit longer, just so that you can get everything I've talked about in order before you try moving out again. The second thing that you can consider is maybe see if you can get a roommate that you guys would be able to agree and split the costs of monthly living together. I really hope that this video was helpful and insightful for you guys. In case you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next episode of Finance Friday. Thank you for watching.